that he was tagged for the second time.
Okay, Max, now let's preface this. If this is true, do you believe that Dak is worth that $40 million a season?
I can't believe I'm saying this. Yes, he's easily worth it. First of all, Ed Werder made a great point, which we didn't play, which is the Cowboys make no sense here. They so wanted a fifth year of control over Dak, right? They wanted that fifth year. And his agent said, no, only 4 years. They so wanted that extra year that instead of having 4 years of control, they have 1 year of control. It doesn't make sense the way they're negotiating this. But yes, he's worth the $40 million. Guys, not only is he a more accomplished and better quarterback than Kirk Cousins was at the time, and so his leverage is even greater, it goes deeper than that. Look at the NFC East. The NFC East is in disarray. Washington went to the playoffs last year as a sub-500 team. They just paid Heineke backup quarterback money. He may be their starter. Daniel Jones was no better in his second year, which is supposed to be your development year, I can tell you as a Giants fan, than his first year. And the Eagles, Carson Wentz is so bad, they're not going to get a lot for him, I don't think. And he's on his way out of town. Jalen Hurts, it's not that he was incredible, it's that at least he wasn't Carson Wentz. The NFC East is in such bad shape that a quarterback like Dak, who we can see, the marketplace, just a franchise tag, is almost $32 million. But in the NFC East over the next couple of years, he is especially valuable. So, Stephen A., you have to figure the average annual value will be more than the franchise tag. So what are they quibbling about here? They want to give him 35 and he wants 40? Well, you better give that man his money, and you better do it soon.
Well, listen, I mean, Jerry Jones definitely played himself in regards to this. We know he's mishandled this, et cetera, et cetera. But to answer the question directly, are you worth $40 million? No. I think that he's damn good. You know, I believe in Dak. I'm very fond of him, the whole bit. But if we just using the word worth, we're not talking about what he can get. We're not talking about what he should get because of Jerry Jones' stupidity or stubbornness or whatever word you think is appropriate. We're just talking about in terms of worth. Well, Patrick Mahomes is worth 40. His average salary is like at $45 million. Deshaun Watson is scheduled to get paid about $39 million this year, and we don't think that Dak is better than him, even though we think Dak is pretty damn good. But then again, you think about a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I think his number is at about $33.5 million, along with Jared Goff. We look at Russell Wilson and Ben Roethlisberger; they're at 35 and 34 respectively. So throwing Dak in there at number 3, let's say at about 37, 38 million is about right. And not only that, they're not coming off a nasty broken ankle, broken leg injury the way Dak Prescott is. So we got to take that into consideration as well. And I do understand where Dak is coming from, but I think it gets to a point where this may be more about his agent than Dak Prescott itself. Because again, if you're going to sit up there and quibble over $1 million or $2 million a year. So we're arguing about 38 million instead of 40 million. Really? When you just had that nasty injury, when you could easily come back and it could happen again in a violent sport that is the NFL, you got to take those things into consideration as well. And at some point in time, you know, I understand you want to go for the risk and what have you, but we also get to look at Dak Prescott, and even though he's had a winning record like at 42-27 as a starting quarterback, we ain't bragging about the Dallas Cowboys making it to an NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl appearance. That has not happened in his 4 years as a starter for the Dallas Cowboys. We got to take all of those things into consideration when we're asking about what you're worth. You're up there. You definitely deserve consideration. There's no question about it. But in the end, particularly coming off of that nasty injury, would I sit up there and give you a multi-year deal at an average of $40 million a year coming off that nasty ankle break, even though it should have never come to that? They should have been gave you a long-term deal. Now that I'm in this position, I'm not going to guarantee you more money than every quarterback in the National Football League other than Patrick Mahomes. There's nothing that you've done to deserve that. Oh. That might be going a little bit too far.
Couple of things. It's true they haven't been in the Super Bowl, but their offense was totally elite with Dak in it, and I was expecting it to stay, to not drop off that much with Andy Dalton, but it did. It dropped off tremendously. What Dak demonstrated and what his absence demonstrated in a way last year, we're talking about Anthony Davis in the last segment, what Dak's absence demonstrated was his value to the offense. With him, absolutely elite, top-flight NFL offense, one of the very best. Without him, also Rams. He has a lot of value. Second, where he ranks in terms of the salaries, do I think quarterbacks get paid disproportionately or proportionally too much of the salary cap? Yes. I mean, if you took the salary cap away, they're all worth more. But with the salary cap, probably many of them are overpaid. But what we know, Stephen A., is the next guy up usually resets the market if he's really good. And Dak is really good. You know, that guy usually resets the market, or it comes close to it, whether it's Goff, whether it's Wentz. And what Mahomes and Deshaun Watson have done, because they're the very best, especially Mahomes, is reset things. The fact is, Dak wouldn't be number one. He wouldn't be ahead of Mahomes. Now, ahead of Deshaun, he has more leverage than Deshaun had because of what I mentioned. The division is so weak and the offense so dependent upon him that, Stephen A., if he's worth 38 normally, he's worth 40 right now.
Couple of things. Number one, just because you prove you're a significant upgrade to Andy Dalton doesn't mean that you're on the level of Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers for that matter. That's number one. Number two, those first four games that he played before the fifth game where he cracked his ankle against the New York Giants. Let's keep in mind, you scored 17 in that opening loss to the Los Angeles Rams. No shame there with that defense. But then the next three games, remember the dumbest team in the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons, with what they messed up. You beat them 40-39. You beat Seattle before Seattle really upgraded their defense with Dunbar and those boys. And then, of course, you beat Cleveland, who was struggling. So what I'm saying to you is that, again, yeah, he performed, but I got to consider the level of competition that you're going against at that particular moment in time. Not to mention the fact that I don't think there's any shame in being the third highest paid guy in the National Football League coming off a nasty ankle break. I just don't believe that. I think that if he was 100% healthy and Dallas had a more successful season and he was on par to do that, of course, that's a different argument. But considering how his health has been severely compromised, for you to be sitting back, with a cast on, walking around probably right about now, all right, and talking about you're worth $40 million a year on a multi-year deal, no, I'm not going to go with that. I'm just not.
Yeah, well, a long-term deal is the goal. The franchise tag period does start next week on the 23rd. That will be worth $37.7 million for Dak. We'll see if he can avoid following Kirk Cousins' footsteps in that regard. Second year in a row. All right, guys, let's leave it there. We got more to get to right here on